Thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate it. Especially I appreciate it because a certain person told the King County Crisis and Commitment Services investigators in 2011, I believe it was, not to encourage me. When they listened to me, when they showed up at my door without any notice to me and came in, I invited them in because I used to be a very nice person. I suppose I'm still a very nice person. It's just I don't let everybody in. In fact, I do not let anybody in. But thank you for encouraging me here by watching some of my videos. What I'm going to do now, I've decided I've got to do against being mind fucked into not doing it is to play advocate again for myself in a court of law, because I don't have to be an attorney to represent myself. So I'm going to do the same thing in the courts that I did with the traffic court when they unjustly at the time pulled me over when they had no reasonable, articulable right belief that a crime was being committed. Now, that which I did has pretty dramatically altered the rules around here of engagement with police and with us. Okay? Because now they don't even need reasonable, articulable belief. Nonetheless, back then they did, and back then I won. A little win in a big disaster of needing many more wins. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and piece it all together with what I've got, and I am going to risk. Daddy's telling me that I can call him Jesus, which means either he's got a Jesus complex, a God complex, which he may, or may mean, how would I even know, but may mean that he's going to die for me because he loves me. It doesn't matter, because I'm not in his head anymore. I'm sure he saw the day would be coming. I'm sure he's not stupid, but I need to overturn some things, and I'm going to do it. And to represent oneself is not easy because there's the emotion involved in it. And although I have to say in Multicare versus Judy, I pretty well represented myself. That was on Leroy McCullough. He is, I don't even know if he's still on the bench, but he's corrupted, and he had a deal cut with him. I'm not saying alleged because it was obvious. It was obvious, all right? It was obvious. So it was an equal opportunity deal that he cut on my back. So having access to the courts, the poor people are supposed to have access to copies of files and other things. But what the courts have is a system set up to delete records that don't complement the court's decisions. For example, I tried to get a copy of the original court summons from EPIS against me. They didn't have the original court summons anymore, they said. They don't keep the original summons. For example, in Multicare versus Judy, I gave at least 30 exhibits, if not 35 exhibits, for any reader to see any reader, paralegals go in and other people all the time to read court cases. So I was set up to know I wasn't, I was instructed that I was going to lose no matter what by a strange street minister. And he said, just take as much copies as you can so anybody forward can read the file to see what they are doing to you, have done and are doing to you. That's what I did. The courts destroyed the exhibits. It's in their records. Exhibits destroyed. Because it's too hard to retain all of that on microfiche, 35 papers, right? So they have it set up to cover themselves. Similarly to the way I just went to have my lab work done at the doctor's, and I had to initial and sign a form. And it was about a 1.5 paragraph blurb. And so I read it and I started laughing because it says we can't sue them if they misdiagnose or blah, blah. And they're not responsible for the medical care we receive, okay? They're not legally responsible. And so I said, and it also says that the provider, the lab lady, has gone over that with me in whatever their words are, and for that, and so she told me, she said, well, there's a whole another side to that paper. I was on the back side of it. That's where I signed without reading, without even knowing all of that information is on the other side, right? So I signed, just shut up and sign it and give it to me. No, she wasn't like that. So she told me what it said in its entirety. And I said, well, that's not what this last paragraph is saying. Okay. So I'd like a copy of this because I want to go home and read all of it. Well, reading is not a smart thing to do because reading, and I wasn't even supposed to, and pretty much not against her, but pretty much she was like, well, just initial and sign it. Yeah, you know what? Been there, done that. So let me read it. So I mean, at Community Health, they, before they would even issue my blood pressure meds, which I thought I needed, and I didn't need it because I never had blood pressure. I couldn't now. I don't know. I know when I took it the other day, I wasn't happy about what it was. It was like 175 or 78 over something like 90. I don't remember, but that's high for me. That's very high. Usually it's about 135 over like 128 to 135 over 70, 68 to 70. But anyway, I digress. I did not have high blood pressure at the time, but I had been told by Multicare I did, so they could give me drugs. Lisinopril is what they gave me at first, which caused me a horrible hacking cough. And so then he ended up putting me on diltiazem. Anyway, so what was I talking about? When I switched over to Community Health, before they would, at one time, like after I'd been going there for about 1.5 or 2 years, and they'd been prescribing diltiazem, they told me before I could get blood pressure drugs, I'd have to take a cholesterol test. So I took the cholesterol test and I got the results back. The results said that I had high cholesterol. So, for one thing, I asked them, is that bad cholesterol or good cholesterol? And they told me they didn't know because they lump it all together now. My insurance company, they said, only pays to lump it all together. And I said, well, I want to have the cholesterol check that separates it. In fact, this cholesterol test that I took today is supposed to separate it. That's what Dr. Mason told me because I asked now. But anyway, back then, they said my insurance company would only cover lumping it all together. If I wanted to have the test done to separate the two, then I would need to pay additional monies to have that done. Isn't that convenient? Well, so I said, well, okay, I'll pay for that. So I paid for that, and come to find out, my cholesterol wasn't high. You see, they want to drive us to statins and stuff like that. So anyway, all right. So I had to have the blood pressure. I come to find out it was good cholesterol. The test results were that I had a lot of good cholesterol. That may not be the case now, because now I've been under 20 years of extreme duress, being the subject of a scientific research that I did not consent to being part of. That's another subject that's going to get resolved. So I went in to get my blood pressure checked, and they asked me to sign a form that said, and because I was paying cash at that point, they told me I needed to, and the cost was going to be, for the check, was going to be $125. Yeah, 75 or 125. I think 125. So I said, okay, so I'll pay that. And I had to sign a form, though, that said if while I'm with the doctor, more costs are incurred, I'm agreeable to paying more if it comes to that after seeing the doctor. I said, I'm not signing this form. All I'm here to do is have him tell me what my blood pressure is. And we had a big stink went on at the front desk because I was refusing to sign that form. So they were refusing to give me the blood pressure check. And we had a little discussion on that too. It's like, you're my doctor, and you know that I need this diltiazem, and you're denying me unless I'm agreeable to paying more than what you're disclosing to me the cost to have my blood pressure checked will be. I wrote I said, I'm signing this, saying that I have to sign. You're forcing me to sign this agreement, but I am not in agreement to it. I don't remember if I asked for a copy. I probably did, but because so much was coming against me, it could still be in my files, but I doubt it. I doubt it. So I can't really prove it, okay? So, but I have no reason to lie. It's not like you can sue them, right? So anyway, so all right, I went in, got my blood pressure checked, and he had before, like when Multicare started summonsing me to court, he had sent me, I was having anxiety, a huge, that's why I ended up being put on Ativan, because I was having so much anxiety about Multicare's taking me to court, that so he had sent me to talk with his anxiety management guy, who was great. I think he might have been Stan Burgess's son, because of what I know about Stan and Yvonne, yeah, Yvonne Burgess through my church. Anyway, he was great. He was great. He described to me the dichotomy of anxiety and what to expect if I start feeling it in court, and how nobody's going to notice because I'm going to be playing it really cool because I know how it works and how it passes through us. And so anyway, when I went in for my blood pressure check, I told Dr. Hefner, I said, he did me, the anxiety fellow was very good for me. That made me really happy. And I told him also, I'm really happy with the way that I'm learning how to get rid of my cancer on my own. So, and he's like, oh, good. Most of the time he was on his, laptop. And he's like, oh, okay, that's good. Then I left, and I got a bill in the mail about 30 or 40 days later for another $125. And I called the community health. I said, what is this about? I paid that day when I came in. I paid cash. And they said, yeah, but, so because Dr. Hefner said, well, if you liked him, you may want to talk with our nutritionist here too. That's for free also. So I said, oh, okay, maybe I'll make an appointment then. That was the extent of it. So I get this other bill for $125, and I go, I call over there. I go, what's that? And they said, well, you talked to the doctor about anxiety, or you talked to the doctor about two other things while you were in there. What? They charged me. They charged me for just telling him that the service was good. What the hell? I refused to pay. I said, I'm not paying for this. Well, at the time, my credit mattered to me. And they were like, whatever. They turned me into collection. And there's no way to get a hold of the people in collection to dispute. There's no way. There is no way to dispute anything through collection agencies because they buy the debt and they're going to get it from you, or they're going to ruin your credit. But anymore, if the amount owed is under $500, they cannot destroy your credit. So that's changed also. It's always changing. But anyway, what they're doing is outrageous. So they destroyed my life. And now I have to sit down and put it together. I want to sit down to put it together to correct what they started with me back in August of 2007. And Daddy told me he's being Jesus for me, which to me says Daddy thinks he's going to get killed for me. Well, you know what? That's Daddy's problem, because Daddy was trying to kill me. Yes, he was. And now he's written about it. So now I'm going to say, you know what? I want these vacated because they were built on lies. Now I have to be sure that I can say it in a way that doesn't offend the courts, because God knows we don't want to defend those fucking courts.